All right, we want to get to some breaking news just coming in. There is a pursuit happening on the 405 right now. You can see this is in the 405. Breaking news just coming in. There is a pursuit happening on the 405 right now. You can see this is in the 405 southbound lanes near Sunset Boulevard. This driver has been going for a little bit now with CHP and other law enforcement following them for quite some time, going about 48 miles per hour right at this particular moment. Let's get over to assignment manager Mark Liu at the desk with more details as to how this started. Mark?
Yeah, Jamie, so I was just talking to my colleagues at the assignment desk in the newsroom. They were on the phone with the CHP. This is described as a stolen vehicle pursuit. That silver minivan you see there now southbound on the 405 coming out of the Sepulveda Pass towards the LAX area. Originally, this was a pursuit out of Ventura County. It was Ventura County sheriffs that about 40 minutes ago started this pursuit out in their area. This pursuit came eastbound on the 101 and then came south on the 405, and CHP at some point took it over. I was listening to it very briefly on the CHP West Valley frequency. It appears that CHP is now the lead agency here, and they are going to hold on to this one while Ventura County sheriffs may follow up after this pursuit comes to an end. But it was originally Ventura County sheriffs that wanted this vehicle as a stolen vehicle out of their area. Now you can see there does definitely appear to be someone obviously in the driver's seat. Unclear about anyone else in that minivan. Again, we have seen this so many times. The tinting on the windows here, very dark. I have not heard the CHP discuss with the air unit overhead yet how many people are inside of that minivan beyond just the driver. Looking overhead, I do see that LAPD Air Support is assisting CHP with this pursuit. So really, Jamie, we're talking about three different law enforcement agencies somehow involved in this. Ventura County Sheriffs, CHP, and then LAPD, as we're entering LAPD jurisdiction here. They're going to be the one tracking this, assisting CHP with following this van now southbound on the 405. You can see about 60, 65 miles an hour is what we're looking at here. Really not too many aggressive maneuvers by this driver. Certainly drivers on the 405 might not even realize this is a pursuit, as those lights and sirens on those CHP units are on, but it's just difficult to tell from SkyCal. But we're proceeding southbound at a pretty good clip here, now approaching 80 miles an hour as we head toward LAX.
Well, I am very familiar with this particular stretch of roadway because this is how I go home a lot of the time. And I can tell you this time of day, this is very light traffic for this time of day. So he or she, whoever the driver is able to get now, as you see, up to 80 miles per hour, which I can tell you there's a lot of the time at the lunchtime hour, you're not getting above 40, 50 miles per hour. So he or she, the driver, cruising along here and able to kind of make some headway. But if the interesting thing to me is if they did come off the 101 to the 405, there's often just such thick traffic right at that interchange this time of day that to be able to just get through that and now continue with this pursuit over the hill into the west side area, as you said, headed toward the LAX area. This person moving very, very quickly. We saw them as low as about 40 miles per hour at certain points, but obviously traffic breaking up here quite a bit, Mark.
Yeah, things, I'm just checking the traffic maps here. Things are pretty good on the 405, as you mentioned. It can bunch up real fast around LAX and the 405, and it will after this driver gets closer to, say, the Mar Vista, the Del Rey area down there. There's a little bit more traffic, but things are looking pretty good on the 405 right now.
About an hour and 15 minutes where this car did start. It was stolen in Ventura County. This driver now well into Orange County and appears to not be letting up anytime soon. Mark, do you have any new information as we continue to try to get the signal back?
Yeah, again, we apologize. SkyCal is attempting to change the mountaintops that they send their transmission back in order to get that live signal. So that operator, the person who operates that also happens to be the photographer, the camera person inside of SkyCal. So they're doing a couple of different jobs at once. And as we are proceeding southbound through Orange County, sometimes the receive sites on the mountaintops, they're eclipsed by other mountains. So we don't really have control over where this pursuit is going. The pilot of SkyCal has to follow. And then the operator, the photographer in the back, they have to be the ones to remember where those mountaintops are and make sure that they can point the signal back to the mountaintop that they can see. And as we've transitioned from Ventura County to LA County to Orange County, those mountaintops change as we go south. Now we're back live here. These are live pictures. That operator in SkyCal was able to get that done. It just takes a couple of seconds and some button presses and a little machine that they have up there. The transmitter is now working again, so we've got this. So not a lot has changed in that moment where we weren't able to get a look at that minivan. Still southbound, still heading about 75, 80 miles an hour. Now on the 5 freeway, because the 405 stops being the 405 and transitions into the 5 freeway. But we are on our way southbound through the Ladera Ranch area. Next community is San Juan Capistrano, then Dana Point. Then we're getting into San Clemente, and then, as we had talked about, Camp Pendleton, which could be a flight restriction issue. Again, we apologize. We lost that signal. We're still experiencing some problems up there. But this is video from earlier that SkyCal had when it was further up north. And we can see here, or this might be live as well again. Actually, no, this is not live. This is tape. This is video that we had from earlier on the southbound 405. CHP, the primary agency behind this the whole way after taking it over from Ventura County Sheriff as this stolen vehicle pursuit continues to head south, just been on essentially the same freeway the entire time after we picked it up in the Sepulveda Pass. That's when CHP also got it as well around the time from Ventura County Sheriff. So
I've been trying to dig in and find out if the van had a full tank of gas. From the moment that this pursuit started, it looks like a Toyota Sienna minivan can go 630 to 650 miles on one tank of gas. So she's got plenty of runway here. If the tank was full, we don't know much information about that. But even if it was half full, you're looking at 300 miles potentially that this car could end up driving. And really at this point, that's the only issue because it doesn't seem like there's any other impact or damage to the minivan, even after 3 spike strip attacks, maneuvers to try to get it to stop. All the windows are intact. The wheels seem to be intact. Everything seems to be functioning correctly. So if she has, even a half a tank of gas, this is going to be going on for quite some time.
Well, that's a great point. Well, I'll join you in the math problem here. You mentioned it's about 600 miles.
I'm not good at math. You'll have to double check me.
Well, this pursuit, it started around 1st and Cochran and Simi Valley, and as we approach San Clemente, that is a total distance traveled of about 107 miles.
Okay.
So if this capacity of the gas tank, as you mentioned, somewhere around 600 miles, I think is what you said, we've at best drained 1/6 of the amount of capacity that this Sienna can hold in terms of its longevity on the road. So based on how much fuel is in the gas tank, this could go for quite some time.
I'm doing the math. It's an 18-gallon tank. If it's, I don't know what year this is, but if it's a 2024 to 2025, Car and Driver says it's an 18-gallon tank. Edmunds rates its fuel economy at 35 to 36 miles per gallon on the highway. I would assume that these are pretty good conditions in terms of getting that type of mileage. So I think my math is right by saying...
it's about 500, 600 miles. Yeah, 600 miles.
Yeah.
Based on, it's always... We could go into a entirely different discussion about EPA estimated fuel mileage per gallon is a little bit optimistic sometimes. I think anyone who drives an American car knows, or any kind of car really in the United States knows is a little optimistic. But yeah, you're right in a sense. We're looking at plus 500 miles on an 18-gallon tank here, and they've only gone about 107. So based on how much fuel is in that minivan, we could be looking at a lot more drive time for this driver. And as I had mentioned it before, sometimes it's not the fuel that runs out, but the willpower of the driver that really runs on empty when a lot of drivers that are involved in pursuits make that realization that they are not going to get away. There's a certain fatigue level that strikes a lot of drivers. We've seen where they've basically tried everything that they can to get away, and there's that realization that one law enforcement agency or another is going to take them into custody in the very near future, and that's when they give up. CHP is hoping for that outcome, that this driver comes to their senses and realizes they're not going to be able to get away, and that they end this peacefully. They can pull over at any time, even on the side of the freeway. They don't have to get off the freeway. CHP will take them into custody. I think CHP officers would prefer that they get off and get onto a surface street and stop. But if it has to stop in the middle of the freeway, we have seen many, many, many times drivers being taken into custody in lanes of traffic on the 5 or the 405 freeway. And hopefully we don't get something like a standoff like we had the last couple of pursuits where people block the entire freeway. And CHP, I think the last one that we had, I'm trying to go back, it was just maybe last week where they actually fired a beanbag round through the passenger side to take a man into custody who had stopped on the 101, I believe it was, in Hollywood. So hopefully we don't see something like that here, but CHP is always prepared to do that if they have to bring the suspect into custody.
You know,
on the other side of Camp Pendleton into the Oceanside area here, which will be San Diego County.
Yeah, well, we'll continue to watch that, right, to see what transpires there. You can see she is still going about 90 miles per hour, and there's still not much in terms of traffic out there to potentially stop her at this point. But of course, you know, I think we're watching this in a little bit of astonishment that she's been able to take up as much freeway space as she has. When you think about just leaving Ventura County an hour and a half ago, I mean, I don't know how many times it's taken me an hour and a half to get from Ventura County just to the 405. You know, if there's any type of accident or mishap or, you know, spill on the roadway or any of those types of things, weather problems. So to be able to get this far, to go from, you know, the Simi Valley area to Camp Pendleton, really, and now potentially on the other side of that, and entering the San Diego area, it would be nice to know if we need to start watching to see if she does get off somewhere, if she has any ties to the San Diego area. As you and I have covered these before, Mark, it is always something that comes up where drivers do go to places they know. This seems like a very long way to go, or maybe it's just trying to potentially get out of, and get away from law enforcement. She thinks that she will be able to outrun them at some point in time, but again, has pretty consistently driven between 70 and 90 miles per hour. You can see going 83, 84. Again, not getting into a carpool lane, passing other vehicles on the roadway who I'm sure are seeing the lights and sirens behind. But they're, in terms of other danger, it has been relatively smooth, which is a good thing. We just are unclear right now her background, and as you said a little bit earlier, these windows are tinted. There's no indication anyone else is in the car with her, but law enforcement just doesn't know. And I feel like the more they don't know, the longer this can end up going as well.
Yeah, Jamie, so just got a little bit more information from the Ventura County Sheriffs. They're describing this vehicle as being taken from East Hillcrest Drive in the Thousand Oaks area. That's near the 23 and the 101. It's a neighborhood in that area. Really no further information about that, but you can see here as this vehicle continues southbound on the 405. To recap, this pursuit started just about 10:50 this morning when the Ventura County Sheriffs got the report that there was a stolen vehicle on Hillcrest. They were able to catch up with it essentially in the Simi Valley area at First Street and Cochran. That's when they say that the woman who was behind the wheel of this Toyota Sienna minivan refused to pull over. So Ventura County Sheriffs, they went into pursuit. This vehicle got onto the 101 and then got to the 405. At some point, the CHP officers in Ventura County took it over, and it transitioned to LA County CHP officers who followed it all the way south to the Sepulveda Pass, past LAX, past the South Bay, Long Beach, through Orange County on the 405. Really the same kind of behavior the entire time for the entire 90 minutes of this pursuit. This driver staying mostly in the fast lane at least 4 different times, avoiding spike strips put out by CHP officers who at some points stopped traffic on the northbound 405 in order to get out of their CHP units and position those spike strips at the center divider and then throw them into the left lane. Now, each of those 4 times, this driver was able to avoid those spike strips, which is a pretty big achievement, being that this driver was going about 80 miles an hour each time, and was able to spot those spike strips in those lanes and maneuver that Sienna around those spike strips. So 4 failed attempts by CHP. Those were high-risk attempts anyway. There was a lot of maneuverability on the 405 at that time for that driver, so they were able to get around each time. So CHP is settling into their standard methodology of how they handle pursuits like this by continuing to stay behind this driver. It's been allied law enforcement airships overhead. At one point, it was LA County Sheriff's helicopter overhead. There was the LAPD that was overhead, and now Orange County Sheriff's. I'm going to check the radar again and see, yeah, sure enough, Orange County Sheriff's now progressing south all the way through the airspace of Camp Pendleton to maintain intelligence eye contact on this driver to assist their CHP colleagues in giving them air support to make sure that this driver does not get out of view, although it doesn't seem like this driver has made very many erratic maneuvers to try to get off of the freeway or really try to evade these CHP officers in an aggressive way, simply just driving straight and narrow on the 405 southbound for the better part of 90 minutes as this driver is now entering the Oceanside area. Jamie, we have traveled more than 110 miles here from the initial starting point in Simi Valley area, and even beyond that when it was originally taken in that neighborhood on East Hillcrest Drive in the Thousand Oaks area, as this driver just intent on heading south as fast as they can, as quickly as they can. They made a beeline using the primary freeways to essentially get now into northern San Diego County.
Yeah, and as I've been talking about, you just have to wonder, does she know, these roadways really well? Did she know that traffic was going to be this light? Did she know that she would be able to, clear as much mileage as she has at this point in time? I mean, these are all questions we won't know, until they're able to secure her. But it doesn't. I mean, look at how empty this roadway is. That this driver has, so much runway here, really, to try to get away. As you were just saying, I've also it's been interesting to watch just how she went from kind of, hands at 10 and 2 to now kind of a relaxed driving style. Has not been erratic, but it's just the traffic is so light. She's been able to really cover so much ground here in just an hour and 20 minutes.
And Mark, let's talk a little bit about what might be coming up ahead here, causing a slowdown for this driver and maybe more of a chance for authorities to move in.
Right. Well, I have been looking very closely at the traffic in and around the San Diego area, and I'll tell you, it's pretty green. There's not a lot of traffic on these freeways here. We're currently on one called the 805, and I'm going to be looking here. If you're not familiar with it, the 805 will take you essentially through central San Diego. It parallels the 5 freeway. The 5 freeway is a little bit further to the west, gets closer to the bay, to San Diego Bay. The 805 more to the east and also parallels the 5 south. It will also take you straight south through Chula Vista, then down into the San Ysidro border crossing. But the 805 does look like it's pretty clear. There's really not a lot of traffic coming up. There's some traffic on the northbound side, but on the southbound side, this driver is looking at a clear freeway and clear skies all the way down to southern San Diego. So really, CHP, again, not going to get really any sort of assistance in the form of traffic. Not necessarily that they want that, because that can only add more civilians into the mix in terms of danger. It does slow down the pursuit, but I believe that any law enforcement officer will tell you they would rather have as many civilians out of the way as possible when engaging with a driver who is refusing to be taken into custody. But as far as pursuits go, Ross, you and I have covered many of these over the course of our time here at CBS. This one is really approaching a record as to how far south we have been able to follow with SkyCal. I can tell you that it was probably about 15 or 17 years ago. I can remember when I worked the night shifts, there was a pursuit that made it all the way to the border. And I can remember we saw the lights of Tijuana with SkyCal. We may be experiencing something like that again. SkyCal is able to provide that transmitter signal to a mountaintop back here in Southern California, so we can see these live pictures. I should say the mountaintop here in the greater LA area, so we can see these live pictures. But this is pretty far south. We usually do not have pursuits that go this far, especially when they start so far north in the Ventura County area, Ross.
Well, this one already in Serra Mesa right now. So what are we talking about? More than 163 miles, I believe, as the crow flies, to get to this point. We do know, as we were talking about earlier, that this Toyota minivan has an 18-gallon gas capacity. So we believe, if you do the math, more than 400 miles. So still a ways to go, but we believe the van is stolen. That's certainly how it was called out by Ventura County Sheriff's Department. And who knows how much gas is in there? Hopefully not much more.
That
Yes.
would be a very great way that CHP would hope that this pursuit comes to an end when the vehicle essentially disables itself because it has no more gasoline in it. That would be a great way to get this to stop. Of course, you still have the problem, as any CHP officer will tell you, of getting that driver to peacefully throw out the keys, open the door, and surrender. And with this driver, we just don't know the mental state that they're in. They have certainly shown a great amount of determination in driving all the way from what is essentially the Thousand Oaks area here to San Diego. Anyone in Southern California who has made that trip south, either for a business or a vacation, you just know it starts to get exhausting. You have to take a break after all of this. And any driver that's done it has done it without the CHP lights and sirens behind them. So there is a physical and mental fatigue that begins to set in with drivers that have been evading for this amount of time. Hopefully the CHP officers in this pursuit can use that to their advantage to hopefully convince this driver to surrender. But again, the 805 continues to be open and ahead of this driver. As I'm checking the radar here now, we are approaching a place called North Heights. This is City of San Diego proper now. Exactly. So we are essentially in the San Diego metro area as we pass through here now into our fourth county. We've been in now our fourth county, Ventura, LA, Orange, and San Diego.
Well, and what's going to come into play now is as they're getting closer and closer to the downtown proper, now we have all sorts of options to get off the 805 here and take another route, perhaps turn around, because it's hard to imagine that this driver has any hope of going much further, or farther, I should say, south in San Diego.
Yeah, that's right. There's an opportunity here. I believe it's the 15. They call it the Escondido Freeway. They could also take that direction south, which would then merge them with a freeway called the 94, which heads east and west. But otherwise, if they continue to head south, they're going to head right by the Naval Base San Diego. That's coming up. And they'll go through National City. But I'm getting a little bit worried now, Ross, that perhaps this driver does intend to go to San Ysidro, which could end problematically for the driver here. There is no way that they would be able to head further south than that.
You know, and we've seen before when we get more into the metro area and we see the major overpasses, that's often an area where someone will stop and try to bail, make a run for it. Those are things that usually happen more at night. They think they have the cover, that the chopper can't see them, and they're going to just get away. But it seems unlikely at these speeds and how this driver has been racing away. All we know about the driver is that it is a female driver, that this minivan was stolen in Thousand Oaks. A family member allegedly telling authorities that she's alone and unarmed. But as for her state of mind, we really don't know. I mean, clearly criminal to be leading a chase like this. But I have to say, Mark, you know, driving consistently, certainly this is a dangerous situation, and this is felony evasion, but fortunately, because it's been on the highway, we haven't seen anyone outside of a car except for CHP officers risking their lives trying to throw out the stop sticks, the spike strips. But we're fortunately not on the side streets where people are walking and there's even more danger. There's some good news in all of this as this goes in, 2 hours and 20 minutes at this point.
Yeah, so there are a couple of logistical issues that we are also dealing with here as we head south further and further into the San Diego area. SkyCal may have to depart here for fuel. So what you're seeing here is SkyCal actually turning away. They may be heading over. I can see they're now making an eastbound turn towards the La Mesa area. There's going to be a local airport that SkyCal is going to have to land for. SkyCal only has about 2 hours and 20 minutes of fuel in the tank, and they are using all of it to head south. So the CHP, though, is continuing to follow this. I do see that now the San Diego County Sheriff's Department has taken over the duties of being the airship overhead to provide intelligence to those CHP officers that they're there still behind this chase. But they are not giving up on this driver. They do want to take this driver into custody. We had spoken with a captain from Ventura County Sheriff's. There, at last check, there were at least 2 Ventura County Sheriff's deputies that were also trailing behind the CHP officers because they intend to take this driver back to Ventura County after she is taken into custody. But right now, unfortunately, we will no longer have eyes on this pursuit while SkyCal goes in to get a little bit more fuel as they've burned it all, Ross. This has been a very long pursuit. We've burned all of the fuel today getting down here.
I was going to say, it's a long pursuit when SkyCal has to go back to refuel. I've just been texting with some of my colleagues in San Diego, and although we see things like this happen here quite frequently, this veteran that's been down there quite a while is saying that they have not seen anything like this in years. If you were just joining us, we have been covering a car chase here since 11 o'clock this morning. This minivan, a Toyota Sienna, stolen in Thousand Oaks and then leading local authorities and the CHP on a chase through Ventura County, through LA County, Orange County, and now San Diego County, approaching the downtown area. Our chopper, SkyCal, has had to leave to refuel. You were looking at video shot earlier of officers trying to throw out the spike strips. We are going to continue covering this as long as it takes with our partners in San Diego. For now, though, we're going to sign off and bring you back to our programming. We'll have the very latest coming up for you, coming up on our next news program at 4 o'clock on Channel 2. Remember, the news continues right now, streaming on CBS News Los Angeles. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining.